We just met with a personal branding expert, and we're going to share our reflections live with you as we process her feedback. If you're new to the show, welcome. This is a behind the scenes episode of the Change Champions podcast. I'm Riley. This is Ped. We both built six-figure coaching and consulting businesses, and now we help other coaches, consultants, and facilitators to do the same. So hopefully, this conversation and this literally live, I mean, what was it, 2 hours ago, Ped? We
2 hours
just got
ago.
off
We
this
haven't
call.
even spoken
So
about
does
it.
yeah. So you're gonna hear the conversation live, fresh. Might be a little rambly, depends how post edit goes, but here we go.
Well, I'll start off with a little bit of a background in terms of like branding and marketing and how we've used LinkedIn to date, because I think that provides a bit of context for why we met with this person and some of the things that we're going to be processing as a result. So I know that I mean I'm speaking personally. I've been writing on LinkedIn for about 3.5 years or so. That's been my primary social media platform. I don't know about you, Riley. You're on X before. I don't know how long for.
I've been everywhere. I've been all
Or
over the
Twitter when
place.
it was.
I have not been consistent. That's part of the one of the takeaways,
Well,
but we'll get to that.
we'll get to that. And we've definitely, through content, we have won business. You know, people have come to us because of our content. And I'm talking about in not just in recent times, but even when I first started writing content, I won clients because of that. Now, I recently went to a webinar that said that the time that I started writing was like the anything goes era in LinkedIn, because hardly anybody was writing on there. It was before AI and all those things. So it was just a lot easier to get impressions and get in front of people. But that aside, we've even gone ahead and packaged up some of these timeless principles around content strategy and the things that have worked for us and how we think about content for our clients, not as marketing gurus, but here's the stuff that we've worked. And in fact, regardless of where you are in your content journey or what your business needs, there is just a way that you can think about where to focus your attention, which is kind of like leads us into why we decided to have this consultation, because clearly there are gaps in and opportunities for us to think about where to take our branding and our content next. So
Yeah, if
it's
you're
very
anything like me, you've definitely felt the grind of the constant the content hamster wheel.
hmm
Um, and I think that I mean there's so many reasons. I mean, I've been embarrassed or scared to share too much, to be too personal. You don't want to be what's that called? Like there's like a it's not the vulnerability hangover, that's what happens after, but it's when you like word vomit and you like overshare your whole life story. Like you got to find the right balance. And so it
Yeah,
just sounds all complicated and there's so much time that goes into it. And this is one of the traps we actually point out for our clients is some people just get sucked down this path and they're like, "Oh, I'm just going to be a content creator." I'm like, "But what about the business that are you trying to
right.
be an influencer or are you trying to build a
Yeah.
business?" And
One,
so this conversation is so relevant for maybe less so if you're trying to be an influencer. I'll just save you the time. You can click out of watching this video. But if you're trying to build a business, we've been learning more and more about the role that content plays in that. And
yeah,
yeah, we can jump into the different things that we got kind of pointed out for us.
yeah, and actually just to like put a little bit of a bow in what you just said, we're not in the content business, but we can use content to have a business, and that's a key distinction when it comes to the kind of
Mm-hmm.
work we do. So yeah, just to give you a bit of a roadmap, audience who's listening to this or watching this, Riley and I have decided this is our talking point. So let's see if we're going to stick to it. We're going to talk about how we think about content, what we heard from the consultation, our reflections, and we're going to do a bit of a live brainstorm around what we're going to do next about it. And yeah, so shall I kick us off with how we think about content? This is going to be
Yeah, yeah,
very
go for
short,
it.
because one thing that we learned is in a way, content serves three purposes at different stages of your content creation journey. We found that first, when you start writing content, especially when people don't know you and you're still practicing figuring out your style, your tone, what to write about, and all those things, what content helps you do is it gives somebody that you reach out to, because reaching out to people one-to-one is the most direct way to nurture and get clients. But if once you've reached out to someone, your content gives them something to look at and check you out on, and just even if there doesn't have that many impressions on there on any post, people will check out the last few posts. So that's always helpful. And eventually, as you
See,
get,
can I add a story to that? Because
yeah,
I just want people to recognize when and why that's helpful. Because I was winning business without posting much content, and the moment I learned the importance of showing that you have a pulse online was when I remember one of our new clients, Ped, it's going back a couple years, reached out to one of our existing clients to ask if we were legit and like real people. It's like, uh, yes, and you would think like you have a live conversation with someone, but it's nothing against, like I didn't take that personally, and so it's nothing against you if someone is, but that is just how people are thinking. There's so much out there. There's so much BS out there. So
yeah,
that's the role
yeah, I
that
remember
that
that.
this
That was,
plays. Yeah,
and we only found out after they
after the fact.
started.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah,
yep, yeah.
yeah.
So get in front of that.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that's the first
yep.
like level or step of what content can do for you. Uh, Eventually, once you get a bit more proficient and more people are engaging or interacting with your posts, then that gives you a way in to start conversations with people. You can reply to their comments. You can then send them a DM. Even people that actually just like, they just put a smiley face or a clap face or a heart or whatever it is. You can use that as a legitimate reason to just reach out and just start genuine conversations with them. So that's level two. And then finally, level three is where you eventually get inbound. You know, people are following for a while. They might binge some of the things that you've been producing, whether it's on newsletter, whether it's a YouTube channel, whatever it is, and then they eventually reach out to you of their own accord. And we've had all of those. You know, we've experienced all of those three things, and we're definitely looking at how we get more of that inbound stuff. Just to be fully transparent.
So those three levels, just to recap, the reason they're important is because it can help save you clients, so you don't lose them.
I love that.
Even if you've done everything else right, my God, it's still important. Secondly, it helps you identify or find or connect with potential clients, so you can get more of them. And then with inbound, I mean, if you do a good enough job, which is what we'll talk about a little bit today, it can wind up actually just winning new clients, like just flat out, like earning
Yeah.
them. And that's a whole nother level, but that's the last level.
Yeah, and that's what we're working towards. And
Yeah.
so yeah, Riley, what did we hear? There's a few. It was 1.5 hours, and it was pretty fast paced. What did we hear?
Ted, I had a page of notes, and at the end, like, and I kept interrupting her to ask questions. I didn't count, but I was like, hey, I'm gonna rapid fire some questions at you. Like, just be blunt. Like, just I know we've only got 10, 15 minutes left. I think I asked 10 more questions in a row at the end. So a lot is the short is the short answer. Um, the takeaway that I had, and maybe we can break this apart and dissect this, was that I think over the past, I'll just say couple years, for me at least, that everything she shared of like what you should do, should not do, like all the key points you want to have throughout the
Hmm.
different layers of a content ecosystem
Hmm.
and building a personal brand. I truly believe that I have done all of those things at some point, but never at the same time and consistently. And I think that for me, I'll just speak from my experience. I think that's one of the biggest roadblocks I had. And I think that's also why our clients hire us for the stuff that we work on them with. And that's why we are looking for outside help with stuff that we could, like, it's, you just don't know what you don't know.
Hmm.
And so even if you try shit and it winds up being the right stuff, how do you know that you did enough of it for long enough that it's going to actually work? And this was really eye-opening for me, where it's like, oh no, it's all of these things, but you need to do all of them together consistently. Just like the analogy we use with our clients a lot is like, for a different system, but a system nonetheless, is it's like building a car, and you can have all of the best pieces and the best engine and the best trim and interior,
Mhm.
but if you're missing one fucking wheel, that car is not going to go anywhere. And you need to have all the pieces and long enough to actually build some momentum and get up to speed. So I think that from a content perspective and like branding perspective, I think that has been my big uh, yeah weak point. I'll just say.
I found the same with my own content as well. I think that there's definitely something that she said in the audit, which was the, and this is no judgment around what you are putting out as your content versus what I'm putting out as content. I know that we've got different priorities in terms of what we're doing in the business, but that there's probably a bit more, I'm doing a bit more of the right stuff, but maybe missing the mark on some of it, in terms of my hooks or the visuals or how
Yep.
regularly I should be doing one thing over another, and which is validating to some extent, but also just some other things where it was just useful for her to say that for me, I'd got so proficient at writing in she didn't say this, but I'd say in a digital first way, something which I learned from Ship 30. If anybody have heard of them, there was like a
A writing program.
writing program and cohort
Yeah.
where they give you certain structures to help with skimmability before readability, which I really like as a way of thinking about how people consume writing online. I got so good at that it's almost backfired because people are wanting much more conversational tone. So that's something which I have started to adopt, and I will definitely do that a bit more based on what she said. And it's also made me recognize that we are sitting on a gold mine of content ideas that live in the conversations we're having with our clients, the calls we have with potential clients, and it requires a little bit of a rethink around how we're leveraging those insights as a way of just bringing more of those things into our content, where it's so like it's could only be us talking about that versus the generic advice, because it's our experience, right? And so those are some of
Yep.
the things that I've say both what I heard and some brief reflections around the so what of it for me.
Yeah, so I guess to get tactical on like what some of those pieces are and what so yeah, just to recap here, we know why content's important. We know broadly like what you need to do in order to make content work for you. But what are the like pieces and like how does it work? And so one of the things is, okay, if you get traffic to your profile, uh, what happens next? And this is a change I think that has happened. I see it as a change over the last couple of years, and I think my profile is a really good example of me not changing with the times. So I will be changing. Depending on the time you're listening to this, you probably won't see what it used to look like. But I I started out as we kind of talk about it. So it's kind of the difference between outbound and inbound, and this is the people who optimize purely for inbound and being influencers and just trying to get like a ton of eyeballs and a ton of traffic. But I have never subscribed to that approach because a I've been in business for 10 years without ever doing it, and I know lots of people who do that but have never been in business. I would rather be in business than not. So that's one. Uh, but I mean, there's a lot of power in having that kind of reach, and inbound is great, and authority and positioning and building more of that credibility. And so I think this is some of the changes that we see happening on LinkedIn specifically, and I don't know, maybe it's happening on other platforms too. Most of our clients are on LinkedIn, so that's what we talk mostly about.
Mhm.
And when I first started doing authentic outreach, which is the core concept we teach to our clients, which is a type of outbound, I had just left a COO role. I had been a coach, I'd been a consultant, and I literally had nothing to offer. So I didn't have anything to put on my page.
Hmm. Hmm.
Other than the work that I'd done in the past, which was systems, operations, consulting, that kind of stuff. And so I very much was like, I'm one of you. I was a part of
Hmm.
the flock. Just another coach with a generic, broad, mission-based headline and something that there was no specific outcome or positioning statement or value proposition. I really didn't have much of that. I attempted to, but I didn't really do a good job
Yeah.
of it. And I think in the past that actually helped to
Mm.
connect with more people because they didn't perceive me as a threat of someone trying to shove some, I don't know, marketing
Yeah.
system or whatever, we call it getting pitch slapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, random thing down your throat. And so that was sort of the approach I leaned into. And it sounded like Maria, shout out to Maria, thanks so much for your help today. What Maria shared with us, personal branding expert, was it, it seems like LinkedIn is going to put, it's almost like the is it Andromeda now? Meta, Facebook, whatever. Instagram ads. I know one of the changes, they change their name like every
Is it?
year, I
I
swear.
was like, I'm not, don't know what you're talking about. Talk about
Yeah, they just,
this.
it's,
Okay.
I know.
Anyway,
Anyway,
whatever
the
it is.
way targeting used to really matter, like being specific on the demographic and the person that you're trying to reach out to, like the zip code, like that used to matter for ads. And by the way, I'm no ads expert. This is just stuff that I've heard. I didn't run ads 10 years ago. It's just what I've been told. And I see people still trying to set up ads in that way. Whereas today, it's much more interest based. And so everything we've been hearing is that you could have no audience. It could be your first post
Mhm.
on any platform, and all the platforms are moving towards interest based algorithms. So as long as your content calls out a specific problem or pain point, it's going to push it into the right hands, like in front of the right people. And so that's the same sort of thinking that can apply to your profile optimization, because if you can call out a specific pain point, avatar, niche, value proposition, all those things, and position yourself as more of an expert or an authority, then those two things seem to go together. So instead of blending in with as a peer, it actually now starts to make more sense to stand out as an authority figure, uh, as long as you're doing the rest of the things that we'll talk about in a second when it comes to your content strategy.
I heard something similar to this, which I was sharing with you last week around how LinkedIn is going into that more of an LLM algorithm. And so, yeah, I think we're on the same we were on the same page around that beforehand. It was just good to have Maria confirm that for us, because I think I'd been doing something similar as well. I mean, it's not surprising because we work with each other, but my headline was something quite generic. But I was trying to make my banner do a little bit more of that kind of heavy lifting around who I serve and what I help them with. But I think that it's maybe just reimagining that, and probably worth us reviewing uh, other pieces as well. So one thing that she said was the experience section as well provides the opportunity to put links and other call to actions there as well. So that's one of the things that I know I was taking away. The other piece for me was to get rid of the call to action on our posts and also on our LinkedIn profiles to have people join our newsletter, which surprised me because conventional wisdom suggests that you want to capture people's emails so you can communicate them off platform, which is something that she didn't say we should stop doing. It's just that how to get people onto the newsletter was offer a lead magnet, get them to download something like a checklist or some kind of tool that then gets them onto our newsletter. And she's found that that's way more effective to get leads. So that's another change we're definitely going to be making. You've got to decide
Yeah.
what to give away first, though.
Well, and the thing is, and this is the thing, is this is what I mean. Like we've done a lot of the right things, just not all at the same time consistently. We've had lead magnets. We've used them in the past. We usually call them internally. We call them hand raiser posts. And so you're providing value. I mean, it's a little exchange. It's like here's some value, and then in exchange, it's like either you're sending a comment, a DM, an email, something to like receive the whatever the thing is. And we've also done events, and that's worked pretty well for us too. But I think this is where like what I used to see on social media was people having a link to like book a call.
Hmm.
And like that was it. The call to action was just like get in touch. And whenever I see that, I'm like, it's so rare that someone's gonna do that. Um, and I like I cry a little inside when I see a coach posting on LinkedIn. They're like, oh, reach out, or like if you're like they have multiple call to actions to multiple avatars all in one post, or you go
Hmm.
to their
Yeah.
profile and it says, here's schedule a call with me. I just wonder like who's actually scheduling those calls. Unless you have a massive audience, the numbers are probably pretty skimpy, pretty thin, and that's where the evolution is like, oh well, something that's lower risk is like newsletter. That makes more sense. But that, even as you just explained, has evolved. And so part of it, and this is why we talk about like putting in the reps with our clients, and we're trying to model doing the same things. That's why we
Hmm.
want to share more of this with you guys. Uh, is like it's always changing. Like you have to keep up with the times and see what the market is doing and how respond to the market instead of like reactively uh well, being reactive
Yeah.
and kind of being a little behind the ball.
Yeah, because there's that expression, what got you here isn't going to necessarily be the things that are going to get to the next level. But I think
Exactly. Yeah.
that's both true for your own capabilities, but it's also true with how what you're talking about now, how the market is shifting. You know, I still get cold emails where people are asking quick question, and I'm like, fucking hell, like no more quick questions. No, like I'm done with quick questions. That was a tactic that was that clearly worked a few years back, and some people haven't shifted away from using that because maybe it's still working to some extent. I don't know, but like the
Yeah.
yeah, and that's one random example. So should we actually just? I know we've shared some ideas around what we're taking away and how we're going to update some things. Any other things that you thought about, Riley, that we haven't covered yet in terms of what we should
God,
do?
I mean, just for episode length, I mean, this is just a behind the scenes snippet, and honestly, like we well, if you want to hear more, like I guess like comment or DM us on wherever you're watching or listening to this, and let us know. But otherwise, like we'll keep sharing more pieces of this in our content, in our newsletter, with our clients, in our community. So any of those places if you want to learn more. But I think to start wrapping up, we can talk about some reflections on like kind of what our next steps are.
Yeah,
Good
let's
for
do
you.
it. Do you wanna start the process? Next steps.
Yeah, I think one of the things that she said, which is interesting, because we systemize a lot of things for our clients and like
Yeah.
and obviously for ourselves. Uh, and one really like relevant pain points that I have encountered that I think a lot of our clients do as well when it comes to content is that idea of like putting yourself out there,
Hmm.
and yeah, just that as I said before, that like vulnerability piece, I'll just say. And I think one of the cool sort of win-win moments of content creation is if you are showing what you're doing, which is a lot of what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because we share a lot of lessons and learnings and strategies and things that we share with our clients, but our clients can see it and they use it for themselves. But I think publicly, at least on my channels, I could do more showing and not just telling. And so one way of doing that, obviously, I can put more thought and effort into creating that kinds of content, but I think an easy way of doing it is also just documenting. I mean, kind of like what we're doing right now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
document like actually like screen sharing or just taking a picture. Or I had a post earlier in the year of just I took a selfie during one of our events of like, man, look at this cool event. We've got 30 people or whatever the number was live on this. You know, we're giving away a scholarship. This first and only time we've ever done that. That kind of stuff it happens all the time. I'm just not capturing it.
Yeah.
And so by capturing it, I can share more of it. But if I commit to sharing more of it, then I have to keep doing it. And so it's this kind of like accountability tool at the same
Yeah. Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
where you get to hold yourself accountable because you've committed to showing that you're doing this stuff. Does that make sense? You
Yeah,
said it's like
yeah. No,
both sides.
do you
You're
know,
double layered. Yeah.
that's one of my takeaways. You know how I on the call with Marie, I said that I do have a time block on a Friday. It's after my, you can see it. I mean, you can see my calendar. I've got it.
Yes, I
It's
can.
in Ped's Perfect Week calendar for an hour. It's like review what happened this week and capture things I could share with the as content. So I just need to honor that time block. The other piece as well is it made me think about the workflow for content creation and where we can incorporate these things. So, for example, I'm thinking about my content cadence, and without revealing too much because it's just getting a bit geeky. But on my Mondays, I share a bit of content related to our methodology. On Wednesdays, I have a revolving thing, which is one piece of proof content, some kind of like client testimonial, one piece of engaged content, which is some way of just, like offering a lead magnet. And we call that engaged content because people are going to be like, hey, I'm engaging with you and I want it. Please send it to me. But I also, within that, I have a revolving around the freestyle post. And I'm thinking that's going to be probably where I do more top of funnel content, some more like, here's my take on something, or here's something that's happening in the world, maybe industry news or whatever it is that I can provide my honest opinion on. And on Fridays, I've already put this as a stretch goal for myself to share more stuff around like me, my values, what's going on in my world. That's not necessarily business based, but also mixing it up with like you were saying, behind the scenes stuff. And so yeah, that I'm just thinking that's part of how I'm thinking about my content. But then I did say that I was thinking about the workflow of this, and we are sitting on a goldmine of insights from our clarity calls, the consultations that we have with our clients, where we ask them about where they're at right now, where they want to be, things getting in the way. And we have actually been systematically scanning those after each call to draw out those insights.
Yeah. Speaking of goldmine, I mean, it really is. It's because the content might be about you, but it's not for you. It's
Yeah.
for the viewer, and so we again, it's like we have all the pieces of the car. We just have only used certain pieces at certain times, and we just need to actually commit to putting them together. And to be fair, I actually think that's okay if you're starting out, or if you're kind of in the phase that we were in, which was, again, it's that 0 to 6 figure space. It's like we had both built 6 figure businesses. We came together, rebuilt a 6 figure business once we co-founded and merged together. And so I think that should be your first focus is you need to get sales in the door. But when you start thinking about, okay, and now the next steps and adding more leverage, and quite often it's what is it? It's the shoe cobbler's dilemma, where you help other people with their stuff, but then your kids don't have shoes themselves, or something like that. Um, and so that's really, I think, what we're talking about and committing to next is taking the real work that we've been doing with clients, and the people who've reached out to us and engaged with us and asked questions, and we've guided through calls. I mean, I've had some calls where they basically said, hey, that was great. That was like a coaching session, and now I know I'm clear on what my next steps are, which is incredible. Like people who have never become a client, and maybe never will. But all of those things are valuable and useful for us as a business, but specifically like to share with others. And I think it kind of comes down to like the more you give, the more you get. And I think we could be giving a lot more as we pour more of ourselves and our experience into our content, and reach more people and help more people. And again, even if they never become clients, like you're being of service, you help more people, you reach more people, and it comes back to you, and then you just kind of reinvest. And that's sort of the where I'm at, the mindset that I have, and why I think, at least I'll speak for myself, I am actually willing to commit to implementing this feedback and advice that we've gotten from a personal branding expert pretty cool, the people that we've met along
Yeah.
this journey. Yeah, and the ones that I'll be sitting down with in the near future. I'll just leave that as a tease. Some big names. So
Good
um,
stuff. All right.
on
Well,
that note,
on that note, we will see you next time. And like Riley said, if you want to check out our newsletter, then go ahead and check that out at leverageaccelerator.co. If you want to also maybe even join our community to get more sales opportunities, that's networkandsell.com.
.com.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See you
cool.
somewhere. Bye bye.
See you guys next time. Bye.